Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 4th episode of the New Gods podcast. And today we have a guest, the very first guest in the podcast. We have Worm Girl. How you doing, Worm Girl?
Hello.
That's
I'm
right.
doing pretty well.
We got rid of that old Frapolo and upgraded him with something better.
Exactly. We're never gonna have dumb shit takes by that old Italian motherfucker.
We sacrificed Propolo to Grogoroth, and now we upgraded with a brand new party member today. So yes, Worm Girl comes very highly requested from the comments. And so today should be a pretty good show. Worm Girl, would you like to introduce yourself for the two people in the audience who don't know who you are?
Hi, I'm Worm Girl. I made a couple of pretty thorough sort of story videos about both the first and the second game, and they got some pretty major traction, and that's been kind of my big footprint that I left in the Fear and Hunger community. And other than that, on YouTube, I mostly just do. I've been kind of branching out into a couple of different things with some playthroughs, some reviews, some other kind of deep dives on other games.
I actually wanted to ask you about those videos, because I think you're at least a little bit to credit for the big boom. I think the first video that blew up was the one that was the RPG that hates you, that big video.
Yeah, Zoldem's video.
Yeah, and that one absolutely banged, and then yours exploded after that too. I reckon what happened was that people saw that one, they're like, okay, this sounds cool, what actually happens in those games? And they type it in and they literally find your videos next. So, so what was... Sorry, go ahead.
So I was just sitting around on YouTube, and there's a YouTuber I watch called Majular, Majuular, and he did a video just about some weird RPG Maker games, and he did a brief mention of the first Fear and Hunger. It was like a 5 or 10 minute, just like, oh, I found this crazy game, and it's really hard, and it's got a lot of wild content, but there's something really cool here. And I was watching it, and I was like, wow, that is a really beautiful looking game. And Termina had just come out, so I was like, I'll check that out, and I bought it, and I played it, and I was just so blown away by Termina that I immediately, as soon as I had gotten ending A, I ordered the first game and started playing it, and I started looking on YouTube to see, like, hey, has anybody done any, like, kind of story content, like, to help explain what I just watched, because it's, it's a little opaque. And shockingly, nobody had, and I think it was like the game had a little bit of trouble getting traction at first because of its adults-only rating, but I think it was also, just a combination of it not being quite big enough, and then the right people hadn't really found it, and the people who were making content were doing streams like Neko the Circle, or they were doing Zoldem's video is sort of a long form review, not necessarily hey, let's untangle this ball of yarn.
Yeah.
And so I knew that the window was open, and if I kind of struck while the iron was hot, it was just one of those moments where you just walk up and you see an opportunity sitting right in front of you. And as I started working on it, I realized how cool the community was, just going on the Fear and Hunger Discord, and talking to all the really silly or intelligent or kind of off the wall people that were orbiting the game. And I was like, this is a cool community in a game that's really going to blow up, and so I want to be a part of that. And I am very happy to have had the opportunity.
So you're relatively new as well then, because I started with Termina as well. I got the impression you've been around for ages.
No, that was, oh gosh, when was that? Was that like in February?
Well, I think the game came out in November, I think.
Okay, I must have picked it up in like January.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of similar to what happened to me when you saw like an empty space there, like because I looked at my YouTube analytics, because it tells you what your viewers are looking for as well, and everybody was looking for Fear and Hunger lore, and I'm like, well, I kind of like the lore, and so I started digging into it, and it actually just sent me crazy, and I haven't been able to get out since. So
Yeah, I looked it up. It
Am
was,
I the only one who's been here since like a bajillion years ago?
Wait,
It
that's right.
seems like it.
You started relatively
four-
recently too, didn't you, Raccoon?
I started 5 months ago. I watched this video. If you look it up, it's called Fear and Hunger.exe. I think it's like Terminal.exe. Fear Hunger 2.exe. It's made by a person called Kunside Waifu. They did a really, really, really good .exe video 8 months ago, and that got me into making YouTube videos. And it says here 7 months ago I made that video actually. Huh? It's been a while. That's why I inspired myself to do the Levi.exe video.
Ah, I remember that one. Yeah.
loved it. Yeah, that's how I got into Fear and Hunger mostly because of that one person making the .exe video. I really gotta thank them.
Was that your first videos you were making, Raccoon?
That was the first real video that I was like, you know what, I'm unlisting every single one of my old videos that I had before. I'm gonna stop making this, shit posts, but mostly they were just shit posts that I was making.
So all the
Because
old
this
Raccoon
channel
videos are
had
lost then. Lost the media.
Yeah, they're all unlisted in my playlist. But
You're
I
never
had
getting
this
them
channel
back.
since I've been 13 years old, like a long time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I'm 26 right now. And well, I gotta say that Fear and Hunger made me want to do like serious videos and actually care about what I'm making.
Hmm. Yeah, I wanted to be a YouTuber for a while, but everything I was trying just wasn't really clicking. So I tried a few different things, and it just didn't really stick. But yeah, finding Fear and Hunger, and specifically Termina, has just been pretty amazing for me because I've just been, my videos have been going really well. I've been really happy to see that.
Mhm.
Why'd you get into YouTube in the first place, Wormgirl?
So I like a game called Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. It is a really obtuse survival zombie. It looks like a roguelike, but it doesn't really play like one. It's more like it's the game that inspired Project Zomboid, which a lot of people I think are going to be more familiar with. It basically drops you in the middle of a zombie apocalypse and says, do what you will. And it's a really obtuse and complicated game, so I thought I'd make a couple of tutorial videos for it. And I have an hour-long video about how to throw rocks. It's pretty fun. But,
Really?
well, it gets into like using slings and stuff, but it does. It is really complicated, but it's very rewarding too. And I never intended that to be like a big deal, but it got some traction. And I wasn't gonna like try to turn it into a job or anything, but as soon as I put out those Fear and Hunger videos and started getting like 6-figure view counts, I was like, okay, people are liking this, and I wasn't doing anything else at the time, so I was like, why don't I just commit to the channel and see where it goes? And it's been really, really rewarding. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I remember being surprised when I went to your video. Went to your channel. I expected a whole bunch of different video essays and stuff, and I'm like, what the hell is Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead? Why is there like 100 videos about this?
Yeah, I've only been like running a channel for like a little over a year now. I have like very little video experience.
Well, you're doing pretty well then for little experience.
Well, thank you.
Why'd you get into YouTube, Bones?
I lost a bet.
Was there revenge?
Have I not?
Revenge, right?
Have I not told? I guess I haven't told this story
Yeah.
on the podcast.
Yeah, you explained it. It was revenge. You got fucked. Live on Twitch.
No, not the YouTube. That's
Oh.
not quite.
Okay, sorry.
Like years ago, I made a bet with someone that there's no way Hololive would come out with like an English branch, and I bet if I lost, I'd become a VTuber. That's the whole story.
So you won and lost at the same time.
No,
Oh,
I lost. I just
you fully lost.
completely lost.
You've been trapped in this torment ever since.
Yeah. That's the whole story.
Yeah,
So-
never bet against the weebs.
No, yeah. It's inevitable. The
No,
endless
I was
march.
betting on the weebs. not against them. I was betting on the weebs to try to successfully gatekeep their hobby. And lost.
Yeah. Yeah, money will do that. So how come you started doing YouTube videos then?
You know, that's a good question. I actually don't think I can remember right now.
Because I remember we were talking about it for a while. Bones actually got me into playing Fear and Hunger in the first place, so this is his fault. Why we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
So if anyone's angry, just
I
blame
was the
Bones.
one who said, "Hey Matt, you should check this thing out. It's exactly up your alley."
He was right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I may have started trying to make YouTube videos because like all of the guides online for Fear and Hunger just sucked, and I was like, "Hey, wait. Instead of like editing a wiki or making guides on game facts, I can make money off this. I should make videos."
Yeah, literally, like how to win against the guard is such like a brilliant. It's such a brilliant idea that it's another thing. I'm shocked that people weren't doing this already.
Mm.
No one cared.
I mean,
think.
that's the thing. They were. They just sucked at it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, the guys at the time weren't very good. I think for Apollo started a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, one of my favorite bits of advice that I still see thrown around nowadays is go for Crowmauler's head.
That was my only way of fighting Cromwell.
If you're spamming Black Orb at his head, you will kill
It
his
was Black
torso
Orb and Hurting.
faster
Both.
just because it hits more and doesn't have 10,000 hit points or whatever the wiki thought it did. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The
Don't use
limb.
the fandom wiki, by the way. It's like the fandom wiki was always bad, but now it's gotten worse, and also there's a better alternative. It's the like .gg. The fandom
Yeah.
wiki will always be the top Google result though, because its fandom is owned by Google and they make ad money for their parent company. So scroll down a bit.
Google owns fandom? That actually explains a lot.
Yeah, I know about that. Yeah, that's why they have search engine prioritization. It's because like
Yeah.
Google's doing evil things like they always do.
Doesn't help that Goku is in it now for some reason.
Yeah, Goku's canon in Termina. So.
Oh yes.
Wait, does that mean
Totally
Termina can be added to the chart?
No, Dragon Ball is actually in its own timeline. Unfortunately, it cannot be. I cannot. Unfortunately, there's no way to currently connect Termina to Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, well, we'll have to keep working on that then.
Maybe in 3. Maybe if they have an analog to the gummy ship when they get people to the space station.
Hang on. What about Cirgles? Will Cirgles be that link?
Ooh.
No, circles are like their own weird furry thing.
So they don't branch off into
Also,
any of the other games?
I mean, I'm sure people have made circle fursonas for something, but that's not like a part of a game.
Because
If you resort to fan fiction to justify timelines, you've lost.
yeah, that's true.
My timeline is objectively observable, and I can prove every single step of it, and that's why it makes people hurt so badly when they look at it.
Actually, that brings up the next topic I wanted to talk about today. What is your craziest theory you've got about Fear and Hunger lore at the moment? So who's got like a wild one?
I've got one, but it's gonna take a minute. So.
Yeah.
What do you
that's
say?
fine.
Sorry,
I
can you,
should go
can, you,
first.
can you say it again? Sorry.
Oh, so what's your craziest Fear and Hunger theory about the lore that you believe, or you think has a good chance of being legit?
Well, I said it many times, but Ragnarvalder is August.
It's not legit. Like that's explicitly deconfirmed by the game, though.
Listen, Rao. Listen. It is true.
You're turning into Frollo now. You're getting close to the mic. You're gonna drink. You're gonna drink right next to the mic soon.
I need to get my water. No, but I mean, I have some ideas. They're just dumb ideas, but I have ideas. So don't
This
worry
is
about
the
it.
time for
It'll come
dumb
out
ideas.
someday.
The one I've got coming is great. So
Okay, hit me with it first.
okay, so You guys may have seen me shitposting about this, but so in the first game, you know, the 4 main souls, right? Domination, Endless, Enlightenment, and Torment, right? In Termina, they're all there except Domination. It's not there. Instead, all of Domination's skills except Leg Sweep, which is inaccessible to the player, all of them are on the Tainted Soul. Every single one. Including some skills that are split up into multiple skills for some reason. And they all just get put straight back into the Tainted Soul. So, the theory goes that the Domination Soul is actually the Tainted Soul. And it was just renamed and changed at some point.
I think I have something to add to that, or at least a logical conclusion I would jump to.
Really?
Well, so the dominating soul is a woman, or at least it has the appearance of a woman.
Mm.
And the last thing we see Darce do in Fear and Hunger, the last bit of content that was added for her was her S ending, which is where she cast Resurrection of the Beloved on Lagarde. That may or may not have happened in the story, but it is logical to assume that if she survived, she would have helped him either get to the throne or come back to life or do something. The act of helping Lagarde, who has clearly gone completely off script in terms of like what humans are supposed to be doing, what if that somehow led to her becoming the Tainted One?
Well, that was the next
It's
part
somehow-
of the theory. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I thought you were done with your theory. I was like,
Well,
how did
there's
you
No,
not
it-
get
it-
to
there's,
this?
there's two
Yeah,
parts.
that-
That one's the
yeah.
first part was more reasonable. Where it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And the next part was Das is literally the Tainted One in Termina.
Yeah, I buy that. I buy that in a heartbeat because again, the Tainted One is wearing what looks like metal armor.
And she's sitting on a throne.
Yeah.
And you would not believe the arguments I've had over this. People hate this theory. They hate it. And I'm like, it's legit.
I have people still telling me that Lagarde is a blood golem, like from the blood golem spell.
Yeah, I think
I
it's...
can understand why they'd think that.
I
Yeah.
guess so, but they get like really up in arms, and I'm like, well, what about Domek? He's not a blood golem.
But
I think
what if
it's
he
funny because you've got like you've got each sort of big theory sends out shockwaves and people catch up to it at different points. So you'll have somebody who's like just watched like one video from like 6 months ago go, oh, isn't this what happened? And it's like, dude, you have like 10 hours of lore videos to catch up on. Here's a playlist. It's all my videos, by the way. Give me views. Go watch this, and this will help out a fair bit. But I'm trying
I
to.
always wonder.
Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, I always wonder how much of this is us getting onto the wavelength Miro was on when he was writing these things, and how much is just like he never even thought about any of this, and we're completely out in the bushes, like just totally unrelated to the story he was trying to tell.
I know a particular example that is both of those.
Yeah.
What's that?
Sabbath in the church in Termina.
Yes, I'm partly responsible for this.
Is this a Vampire
think-
Hunter thing?
No, I was going to point out that in the Discord, Miro admitted that the only reason Sabbath got reused was because he couldn't think of a good design for a magic sword and decided to reuse the one from Kahara's ending.
So I've maybe caused a little bit of a problem with the way this is interpreted too. So the description for Sabbath says it was used by the Vatican to help them against the vampire, to help defend them against the vampire hunts, which makes it sound like the Vatican is defending itself against vampire hunters. And knowing that the basement is filled with blood pools and the guy who runs the church is a monster, like a literal one, and he's using blood rituals to live forever and all this stuff, I assumed that the word vampire in this context means the sort of being that Lagarde and Domek are. We see Lagarde has like vampire fangs, and I assume he and Domek are the same kind of like lich kind of guy, and that might just be called a vampire in this world. But and so that spread pretty quickly, and then later I was talking to Miro, and he was like, "Oh no, that's just a typo."
Yeah, I
The
had
church
to.
was doing the vampire hunts, and they were using the sword to hunt vampires. And he's like, now whether or not the people they were killing were actually vampires is up for interpretation. But no, they weren't. Not the sword was not created to protect the vampires.
I remember. I didn't realize that was you. I remember that conversation. I remember we were like going like, oh no, we're having this like massive theory discussions about so the church is infested with vampires and this and that. It's like no, it's just a mistake. Don't worry about it.
I do think they probably are. If there are vampires, they are probably affiliated with the church rather than being killed by the church. Just because everything in Fear and Hunger world is topsy turvy, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true.
I'd assume that they'd be associated with like the evil half of the church that's secretly sulfur worshippers, just because that's where blood magic comes from, and nothing says vampires like blood. But that's entirely speculative, with literally nothing backing it up, except like, oh yeah, that would probably make sense.
Yeah.
It's also it's really, I think, important for people to understand that Lagarde is Dracula from the Castlevania series.
Is he?
Yeah, and Ragnvaldr is
How?
Simon Belmont. Well, he's this recurring villain who is somehow immortal, and he's always tied to these events, and he keeps trying to come back and getting smacked down at the last second. And one of
A
Miro's
recurring villain that loses is like 90% of children's media, though. It's not just
sure.
Castlevania.
Sure, but one of Miro's biggest inspirations is Castlevania.
That's true. He
stated
did say that
inspiration.
Ragnvaldr was just straight
And-
up Simon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his art is all just straight up Ayami Kojima. Absolutely just the same kind of thing you see in Symphony of the Night and stuff. And so I'm always looking for, what is the inspiration, and then what can that tell us about the characters in the story? And then, you have this long-haired, evil kind of guy with vampire fangs and all this stuff.
I have some contention with Lagarde being called the villain, but in general, I agree.
Well,
I
I will
mean,
say, okay,
yeah.
antagonist. At least, I'm not even sure he's the antagonist, but
Not even really an antagonist in one.
not in one. No. I'm thinking mostly in Termina, but no, I agree with
Termina,
you.
he's not even like really an antagonist there either. He's just kind of there.
Now you mention it, the games are more about fighting against the whole situation rather than fighting against a specific person trying to stop you. It's like you're just thrust
I've
into a
read-
super shitty situation. Like the gods don't care about you, you're just sort of there. Like they don't even know you're in the
and
dungeon.
I read a while back that was like a cornerstone of like how like East Asian horror differed from Western horror in the, when that really caught on with like Ringu and stuff in the 2000s. And how like people were comparing Silent Hill to the more direct kinds of horror you'd see in Western media. Whereas like in Silent Hill, you're not really dealing with a slasher or a bad person. You're just like in a place that sucks.
Hmm.
Yeah, much
true.
more passive take on horror.
Yeah.
It's bad vibes rather than a bad person.
I'm all about this Dark's Tainted one.
I'm glad.
You've opened my mind.
I'm gonna, whenever I bring it up again, I'm gonna say Steve Wormgirl agrees with me, so that means it's 100% right. 100%. The two biggest
I-
lore
I
heads in the
honest-
Fear and Hunger community agree, that means it's 100% canon.
My honest opinion is that it's plausible, but it feels like you're Rorschaching what Miro did.
Yeah. I mean, this comes back
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
like being in the weeds, right? I've done little experiments with myself where I thought, okay, what's the craziest thing I can think of that has the smallest chance of being canon, then can I argue it? And then I can just argue it. And it's like, that's a really dangerous spot to be in, to be able to argue any stance. Like, because...
The other three characters, so the other two characters get mentioned, and do you know about the bodies on the poles? They're on like the western edge of town. There's like one that's getting pecked by crows, and it's like half alive. You can get to it on
Oh,
the
the
first
Hard
day
and
of
Heart one, yeah.
Termina.
Yeah, I know those guys.
Yeah, so There was a theory that I'm pretty into that these are the representations of what has become of the protagonists from the first game.
Oh.
One of them looks very much like Ragnvaldr, and he's dead. There's one that is headless, which could represent Nasra, who is missing his head. There is
No, he's missing
one...
everything except his head.
yes, but
Technically true.
there is. Let's see if I can find these bodies. I don't even know what I would look for. There is one that could be standing in for Kahara that is dead, and interestingly, the other one, the fifth one, is it's a man, but it has kind of, you could call it Darth's hair, and the guy is alive barely, and there are crows pecking him, and crows are the symbol of the god of fear and hunger. And the going theory was that this was like an Easter egg kind of thing that was like, okay, this is how everybody wound up. Two of these people are dead of natural causes. Two of the poles are empty because Lagard and Enki are still alive. One of them is headless because Nasra is he's a severed head, and then the other one is Dars. And that's not to say that these people are actually them or have any in story connection. It could just be an Easter egg, but it's just such an odd little vignette. And those things, we see other bodies that are copy pasted all over town, but these four are just there. And
That's
if
really
Darce is holding on as this weird kind of very remote new god, then
Well, the tainted one, the new god, is just so weird anyway, because she's clearly so aligned with the sulfur god. But the new gods are like, yeah, she's one of us. Like, why even bothering asking about her? Like, they treat her like she's normal, but she's so clearly different from all the rest of them. And there has to be something about her. There has to be. She can't just be like some weirdo.
Yeah, and if she's working with Lagard, I think...
Well, she could be, but because they're all weirdos. But you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, that's the strongest argument against the Darcy is the tainted one theory. The answer is it could just be some weirdo.
It could be. All the new guys are pretty weird, aren't
no way to really
they?
decisively disprove the tainted one is just some guy theory.
Yeah.
It just yeah, I mean, it hits me in such a strange way because she's just this person who was poised to do all kinds of important things. She would never have left Lagard's side. And here he is in Termina, so where is she? And of course she might have died of old age or been killed to prolong his life or just died for normal reasons. But also, I definitely think Lagard is, if he's not knowingly connected to Sulfur, then he's unknowingly connected to Sulfur, just because
absolutely, yeah.
the foundations of Decay has that tunnel in there, and he was masterminding the Logic project. So
yeah, I 100% agree. He's definitely heavily connected to Sulfur. I suspect it's unwillingly, because he's just always really been against being controlled by the gods. He's always hated it. So I doubt he would willingly sign up to be with Sulfur. But he's definitely still reenacting the story of Olmir, which is the story of Sulfur. So I think he's just doing it unintentionally.
Do you know?
Yeah, even if he's hated by the gods, he's still obviously created by them as an artificial life form.
Yeah, that was what I was going to bring out for my my super theory today.
Artificial life form?
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to tack on to the end of yours, though, Mao, is the Tainted One does look kind of like it's wearing penance armor.
I can see that, yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know, there's something there. Because Marco's whole thing is about being guilty and, feeling like he's done something horribly wrong, and he has, but he also kind of had reasons, and, he was being coerced. But, obviously penance armor is worn by the guilty, so something there, I think.
Interesting.
But, okay, so Lagard. is confirmed to not have a soul. I thought it was just a gameplay consideration. There's a lot of things. For example, you can get souls out of the little babies. I think the babies that Uterus has.
Yeah, I always thought that was
Can you go-
weird.
I think that's a mistake. Because none of the other artificial beings give souls. It's possible they're producing souls because they're being like bothered by Valtiel or something, but it's like a whole crux of this thing is that you can't get souls out of these
Yeah.
like man-made creations.
Sorry, just a brief aside on bugs causing lore issues. Killing Crow Mauler and then double-headed Crow Mauler shows up, which is a bug. And it's like people are trying to theorize how did this happen, like what's going on, and there are multiple Crow Maulers. Like it's just a bug, and we don't know how canon it is because it's been a long-running bug. So it's like it's you can't really discuss it in the lore.
So well,
I don't
the thing
really
is-
think that in particular is a bug because damage from the first fight carries over into the second one.
Even if you kill it.
Yes,
Oh,
if you
but
kill
that-
it, he spawns without either arm.
Interesting.
Oh, that's weird.
On top of
also-
that, as soon as the a little bit before the double-headed Crow Mauler becomes available, the corpse from the first one will despawn deliberately.
Hmm.
Oh, maybe not then. Yeah. Huh.
But also the gauntlet is crazy world. It's like a nightmare world. So I don't think the normal rules of logic have to apply in the gauntlet.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just the inside of a god. It's like those still follow rules.
It's Rare's
Okay,
realm
but like
from Terminator.
well, it reminds me of like in the end of a Silent Hill game when you get so deep into Silent Hill that like doors are opening into impossible areas and things like that where you're getting on another level of existence where reality as we know it doesn't really make sense.
Hmm. You're kind of
But
right there. I think it's like
how can
half
we
dream world,
encounter-
like because it's clearly based
Nothing
on
we
Rare's
encounter
realm. So,
in the
yeah,
gauntlet
bugs.
is completely alien.
No, and I don't think it would need to be, but I think we're just like a step closer to sort of the divine realm, to the darkness or the abyss, where it's
I mean, you're in the body of a dead god. Of course, it's going to be like more divine than the surrounding area. But I mean, that's also true of the dungeon as a whole, since that's part of the body.
absolutely, yeah.
You're just going deeper in the dungeon. The dungeon, as we all know, is fucked up and weird. So it's
Right,
more
like-
fucked up and weird.
Like time is not passing. That's what I'm saying. It's like, we know that time doesn't pass correctly in the dungeon, but then when you get further in and get all the way into the God of the Depths, I think things are starting to get so strange that it doesn't seem that weird to me that the Crow Mauler could come back to life in there.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, possible, but the fact that, damage carries over and his corpse despawns, it feels like that's a deliberate thing.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that his corpse despawns and then the second-headed Crow Mauler shows up, that feels like a deliberate design choice.
Well, here's the thing, right? So the gauntlet is Rare's realm, which is like closer to the dream world, where we have all sorts of weird living ideas, like the Rontiels, which like bring themselves to life through fear, like Freddy Krueger, and the Skin Granny, and Pocket Cat is one too, but he's running around the real world, and we know we've got those Crow Mauler stories, like because there's that Fable book from the first game. So it wouldn't surprise me if when something like that dies in the real world, in quotation marks, that it can respawn up closer to the realm of ideas, and the dream, and then the gauntlet and Rare's realm is like one step closer to that.
Oh, yeah, I think that if you killed Pocket Cat, he would not actually be dead.
Oh yeah, no,
Like if you
absolutely
shot
not.
him with a gun or something, he might fall over and go like, "Oh, you got me," but then like the next day he'd be out, chasing kids around.
Yeah, there'd just be another one.
Yeah,
And I think the same thing is probably true of the Sulfur Gang in the second game.
yeah. I was curious about that.
I have no specific evidence for that, but the fact that they're all so cavalier about throwing their lives away when it took them so long to get to where they are, I think they have an expectation that they'll be back at some point. And kind of like you can't kill Michael Myers and you can't kill Jason, right? Even though they
Yeah,
die in every movie.
can't kill Art the Clown. He keeps coming back.
Right.
And when you kill the death masks, I think it says that they're still like that they could get back up.
Yeah, yeah.
It says something like that if you examine their body.
Yeah, Don is like, I don't know what to tell you, but this guy's not dead.
Yeah. I always cut their heads off because I thought they'd get back up like the bobbies, but I don't think they actually do.
No, I don't think so.
How terrifying would that be if they got back up after like 10 seconds? Could you
Oh
imagine?
god, that would be such a great thing to add to like masochism mode.
I'm dying.
There's a random chance the death masks stand back up once you kill them.
No. Oh, man.
They could even do it like, anywhere between 10 seconds and 10 minutes. So just, like, he'll just eventually get up.
Like, if you don't cut their heads off,
Mhm.
then they get back into a random coffin around the map. Like, it resets. It resets.
No,
them.
no. If you cut their head off, that just means that they start the next fight blinded and you can't kill them with a headshot.
Oh, no. Oh. This is like... this limbless torso sprinting straight at you, gurgling and like spouting blood out of his neck.
It looks
Fond
like a,
memories of Ultima Underworld.
They look like something out of One Piece to me, and I don't know if it's just the long nose makes him look like Usopp, but something
You're
about the
right.
swords makes me think of that show, and I wonder if there's a
Because it's
An
very
inspiration.
cartoony and over the top, and that's sort of similar to the designs in that. I mean, I haven't really watched it in ages, but it's similar to that. It's got that sort of feel, and how he laughs as well.
yeah.
Anyway, I've got a spectacularly stupid theory that everyone's going to disagree with at first, except maybe Mouse since he's heard part of it.
Please.
So I'd prefer if Raccoon went next.
Oh, wait, sorry,
Huh?
didn't I interrupt Worm Girl?
I was gonna wait for mine. I was gonna do mine last because it's a long one, and I think there's gonna be some
Okay.
discussion. So we can do Raccoon and then Bones.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. I thought yours was the guard's a artificial being one. Well, whatever.
There's more to it, I think.
Ah,
Okay, Raccoon.
What is it, Jones?
What's
What
your...
was the question? Sorry.
Yeah, what's your... Do you have a wild Fear and Hunger theory that you believe?
It's just that one that I told you. I'm not good with theories. God damn it, no.
No.
Oh,
No. I'm
it's
going to
just
correct you
August
here
is right
because
about it?
you corrected me last time. You said you don't like talking about lore, but then you said, no, I do like it. I just don't like talking about it. So I know you've got some
It's-
theories cooked up. I know you do.
Yeah, but they're hard to push out. I need to think to not have people.
What have you
say
been
that I'm
doing? What have you
wrong.
been doing for this last half hour?
Just thinking about you guys going through lore when I'm like, oh, okay, so surely we're gonna move to something else, right? God damn it.
No, this is the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But God damn it with your lore talk. Wow, did we talk about the shotgun lock tech at all?
Shotgun lock tech. Did we discuss
Yeah.
that? No, we can talk
Did
about
we
that briefly.
discuss that? I think that's very important. I think.
Yeah, we'll take
Did
a
we do
brief
that?
aside for speedrunning.
Yes, I checked on that on speedrun.com. No one has done anything with that so far, so maybe Levi's not top tier yet.
Oh, did you want to just go over what the actual tech is?
Well, the tech is pretty much taking the shotgun and going right away and shooting the locks off the gate. And somehow, it's been like 7 months, I think, I guess, since no one has ever tried that. And only recently, one of your watchers decided to let us know that it is possible.
I couldn't
And now we
believe
can
that.
speedrun the game. I
Yeah,
still
me
cannot
neither.
believe it. I still am confused.
And it makes me wonder what else is still like buried out there.
Yeah, people are literally breaking the game open and digging through the code, and they miss that. And there's multiple triggers for bolt cutters in case you get stuck without a key. They just don't work, but there's
Yeah.
multiple triggers there.
Yes, I noticed that the lock the bond, what was it? What was the one that you used to open the gate?
The bolt cutters.
Yeah,
The ball cutter spawn after killing Harry or something like that.
yeah, like
Quite interesting.
it spawns after you kill the mayor and you don't get the key for some reason. I have people in the comments saying it definitely spawns if you do. It doesn't but it's not useful then because you can just go get the key from his corpse.
Mhm.
It's only useful if you kill Henrik because he doesn't drop any key then, and you can legit get softlocked. So I think it's just an oversight. But there's so many moving parts in this game. I don't blame Miro for having like one softlock in there, right?
Yeah,
I
I'm just
will.
impressed
Fuck you,
that-
Miro. Fix your shit. It's broken.
You know he listens to
I'm
this,
just
right?
impressed that-
Oh no.
yeah, he will listen to the shit.
He listened to the last one. He was taking
I'm just
notes for
impressed
Fear and
that no
Hunger
one has
3 for the
used
last
it.
one. He was taking notes down. So it's going to be all of our
Yeah.
ideas from last time.
I'm just impressed that no one has used it for speedrun yet. I wonder if it even works for speedrun at all.
Well, I guess
Because
the thing is,
People have been optimizing it so well in the speedrun community.
yeah, I guess the thing is, you still need to go to Abella's bunker no matter what, right? No matter which ending you're doing.
Yeah,
What ending do they do for speedruns? Is it just A?
it's every single one of them. Ending A, B, C,
Oh, okay.
even ending A and B in muscle mode.
I guess B and C it wouldn't really matter because you still got to visit both anyway. But for ending A, you've still got to do
Yeah.
Abella, so it's just. And getting the books, I imagine, would be a big deal from the mayor's house. So yeah, I don't know.
It feels like it's
Mhm.
more going to be useful in a challenge run than a
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
because what you
But
could do is you
Olivia-
could take a shotgun and then blow the gate open and go and plunder the orphanage for books.
Yeah, exactly. The only challenge I was thinking of using it was Olivia wheelchairless, but you cannot use a shotgun with Olivia wheelchairless, so it's kind of scary. I still haven't thought of a single challenge that is harder than that, or than probably one agility muscle mode. One agility muscle mode sounds like hell. Yeah. That
Well,
is
if Raccoon's
straight up.
too scared and wants to use speed running to deflect from ridiculous lore theories, I guess I'll go next.
Okay.
All right.
The god of fear and hunger is Sylvian in disguise.
Eh? How's that speedrun?
No, lore theory.
Oh, fuck you.
God of Fear and Hunger is Sylvian in disguise. How does that work?
Well, basically, you know how like Sulfur and Almer are both Grogorath?
Yeah.
And this, well, that whole ascension process is a mess, but we know that the little girl ascended using the God of the Depths.
Yeah.
The God of the Depths is Sylvian in disguise.
How does that work?
What's your evidence?
Is it the big,
Well,
the
there's a
big
bunch of
luscious
different
lips or
things.
something? Is that?
Yes, the dick sucking lips. No. Well, for one thing, every single enemy there, not the one boss fight, but every single common enemy there is a marriage.
That's true.
I actually had a whole long list of things for this. I don't remember most of them right now. Let's see. Needleworm is the only healing spell that is not part of the Sylvian tree, but it is still a healing spell. Most of God of Depth's motivations are not based around destruction or even forgotten things, but they are bizarre interpretations of acts of love for people that are isolated or alone or vulnerable.
It's true.
Including that one friggin' chick that became the tree.
Oh yeah, that was heavy Sylvian influence too.
Yeah.
That's another weird connection, isn't it? Because the chick that became the tree wanted to marry the God of the Depths. Or she was in love with the God of the Depths, or something like that.
It struck me that she was like a sacrifice, like a they'll get like a priestess or something. They'll like ritually marry her to a god, and then she has to live in the temple forever or something.
Yeah.
That's what it
No.
struck me as.
Yeah.
Ragnvalder has the whole story about that. She literally fell in love with it.
Oh, okay.
And, oh god, this is using cut content to try and justify it, but... Oh, what the heck was it? There is a fourth unused diary of Captain Rudimer, where he talks about the Tree of the Depths in the same way that he talks about the crows with all the weird patterns and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
If I were in a better condition, I could remember more of these. There's a couple of other things like this, but I cannot for the life of me remember most of them.
Well, I have something that may work in support of your theory a bit. And that's that I kind of suspect that all of the gods are just like the old gods specifically. They may just be like facets of each other in a way
Yeah,
where they're
that's something that I've theorized a couple of times, and everyone hates me when I point it out. But the arbitrary classification of specific forces into specific old gods, which seems to have an lot of overlap, is a construction of humans rather than that of something that actually describes the underlying mechanism, the same way humans describe colors instead of relying on the fact that there is just an objective wavelength with no clear delineation.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that it's like looking at the same light through a different prism.
And
Right.
the conclusion that I got from that is that fundamentally there is only creation and destruction, and it's only Sylvian and Grogoroth, and every other god is one of those two in disguise.
Yeah, that is really what it seems like. Although I would
And the
change
end
it
result
slightly.
of the end result of that is all of those weird protective, loving, growing things that the god of fear and hunger does would fall under Sylvian's domain because it's a ascendant one made with part of Sylvian's body.
Hmm.
I can see it.
Yeah, like, you know, part of my theory that Grogoroth is a sun god is that once a god dies, it leaves its traces behind. So Depths could be the dead or dying corpse of Sylvian, and her traces of just are the actual, you know, traces of Sylvian.
Have you noticed that sometimes Depths' sigil appears in the game forward instead of backwards?
Yes, and that's been driving
Yes.
me insane.
So it's not just on the Termina clock, it is also on some of the cubes in the workshop.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Back to Cube Talk. I love Cube Talk.
Yeah. I think there may be something there. And for Grogoroth and the Sun, so he's kind of similar to the Horned God from like Wiccan or neo-paganism, where he represents like the Horned God represents, among many other things, I'm not as well schooled in this as I could be, he's sort of like the duality of, you know, light and dark and creation and destruction. But he's all just the destruction side, you know, he leaves the rest up to Sylvian. And so a thing that is true in history is that one of the first things humans tend to worship tends to be the sun. And then as their societies advance, they have more and more complex needs, and they start inventing other gods to, you know, kind of break up the sun's role of just being the one god over everything.
Mm.
And so Grogoroth may just be what was like left behind when people moved off of that ancient primordial sun god.
Hmm. That's interesting. Because he is.
Oh, I'd also like to add one other thing to my theory. Since I don't think I'm actually going to make the lore video because like a lot of stuff is happening that's going to make it difficult for me to make videos. But the reason that the God of Fear and Hunger even exists is part of a long-term Xanatos gambit by Sylvian to make a second attempt at well, you remember how in the lore book she like fused all of humans into like a gigantic mountain of flesh?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And it like they were still not able to take a form that was able to adequately love her?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Logic is her second attempt at that.
I think it's her third.
Third?
Yeah, so all of the enemies in the gauntlet are marriages, and you fight the god of fear and hunger on top of a huge pile of bodies that are both having sex and being dead. And I think that when a god ascends, there is a like mass orgy that happens or something to either to generate the power required or just as a side effect of Sylvian's power being so heightened to do this massive act of creation. And so when we read about that in the history books, it says one time in antiquity, this crazy thing happened and everybody started having an orgy. That could have just been when Almer was ascended.
That's interesting.
And we see it again in the bunker because we have the elites may be marriages, and we have the
Platoon.
the platoon, which is certainly a mass marriage, the human hydra. So that's kind of what I think has happened. Is when a god ascends, there just has to be a lot of sex and death going on.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's mostly just a pile of corpses that got fed to the god of the depths.
Are they fucking?
Are they?
Allowed to swear on the
Because it's
podcast.
90% reused art from the other corpse piles.
True, but no, they are a little different, I think.
Yeah, they're
They're
slightly
like not
customized to fit
decaying at all.
into handle the way RPG Maker handles tiling poorly, but most of them are heavily reused from just like the random corpse piles you find in like the well and whatnot too.
But those corpse piles are decomposing, and these all look very fresh, or like they haven't been able to decompose. And some of the positions they're in are like very sexual, whereas the corpse piles that are just piled up just look dead.
Yeah, the sexual positions are the parts that got reused from the bunny orgy.
They are really sexual, aren't they? Here, I'll throw it in Discord. Oops.
Like, I've got an eye for reusing art because
To reuse like that. Also, I believe he made this first because this was in one of the demos. This area was in one of the demos, and the bunny orgy was not in the early demos, I don't think.
no, the bunny orgy was in the earliest 1.0 version.
Okay.
So was the well pile. The
Anyway,
goblin was added way later.
I have no doubt that he added that he reused art, but the I think there's an intentionality to it. I don't think he just accidentally forgot to make him stop doing it.
I think it's just like Sabbath. It's just, yeah, it's way easier to do this other thing instead. So that's what he did.
That's sort of the kind of annoying thing about these games. Like, it's really hard to know when something is directly intentional and something is just coincidence. Because
It's
there's
actually
just
really easy
so
now. All you have to do
much.
is listen to me and repeat what I say, and then you'll be right.
Well, it's like Dark Souls, where people will argue over a what seems to be a significant element in the landscape for years, and then somebody will figure out that it's just like a texture not loading or something.
Yeah.
So I've got my theory. If were you?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so yeah, Mito confirmed that Lagarde doesn't have a soul, and it's not clear if he lost it at some point or if he never had one. I suspect he never
I
had
assumed he
one.
didn't have one because he was British.
That's possible. That's possible. So if you look at the skin Bible for Almer, and also the books for him in the first game, you will find that the story of Almer when he was alive is that he traveled around the world and got people to follow him, not through acts of military might, but through just his charisma. And there is discussion in the first game about how Lagarde, despite the fact that he is a soldier, he's getting like farmers and stuff to like rise up and follow him just because he's this very charismatic leader. And what Almer did was Almer wound up being opposed by the kings of his time. He was imprisoned and executed, and then he came back as this ascended god, and he killed all of them, and he created a new golden age that lasted for hundreds of years, and that's Almer. If you take Lagarde through his C ending, that's what he does. That's almost beat for beat the same story. And that would just be like, okay, well, it's the Jesus story. It's not terribly uncommon. But if you look at Lagarde's appearance compared to the different appearances of Almer that we see, the first one is a little bit of a stretch because, graphical fidelity being what it is in these games, is that he has kind of the same face shape as the idols of Almer that we see, this very oval face. he's not missing an eye, but he does have otherwise the same shape. But if you look at the art of how Almer appeared in life, he was a much scrawnier figure with long hair, like a very traditionally Jesus-looking guy.
Yeah, he
You know,
was.
slab of meat. And we know from the Skin Bible that one of the stories of Almer is that Vitruvia created him without Sylvian's help in some kind of, I don't know if it's an artificial way, but it kind of sounds like Vitruvia was doing the same sorts of things that Nostramus and Valtiel and Nasra get up to, where they're trying to create life. Vitruvia may be better at it, but those life forms that those people create don't have souls. And so that has led me to wonder if Lagarde is not an attempt to recreate Vitruvia's work by creating the same kind of Vitruvian man and, putting him into the situation, except Nilvan is one step ahead because she's seen that that's just going to result in another, you might get 300 or 400 good years out of that, but that's still going to collapse at the end. So she instead has his child, and that's how we get the girl, that's how we get the god of fear and hunger. And then the god of fear and hunger is able to beget the material conditions that are necessary to create logic. And it would be pretty wild to think that Nilvan is thinking that far ahead, except that she has what appear to be powers of premonition and stuff. She's the one who hand delivers prophecies to people.
She does.
We see her doing that with both Enki and Lagarde. We see that in her tower, she's able to show us kind of visions of the past. The old crone, the skin granny that you fight in the end of that area, is what you fight to get Nilvan's soul. Now, she comes out and hands it to you. It's not like you get it from her. But in all of the other god areas, the boss of that area is the new god themselves. And so Nilvan may be modeled after the Norns or the Greek Fates, which are a young girl, an adult woman, and an old crone. And these three spin the threads of fate and cut them and measure out people's lives and are sort of associated with the past, the present, and the future. And we have in Nilvan, we have a little girl who's associated with her. We have her adult body, and we have this this weird grandma monster.
And let me just interject for a moment.
Yeah.
They're the ones with one eye, aren't they? That pass the eye between them?
Yes, well, that in some of the stories, yeah.
There's that one eye symbol again.
Mm-hmm.
Did Miro just Google mythology with single eye? Let's put it in the game.
And the other thing is, the other piece of evidence here is that the Eastern depiction of Almer has a really specific, let me pull this up so I can drop it in the chat. Where is that? Here we go. Has a really specific pose that he's in, and you see this depiction of Almer in the museum in Termina. And it's the same pose that we find Lagarde in if we are too slow in the first game. And there's only so many ways to chain a guy up, but this is really specific. And so that is my Almer is a Jesus clone theory.
Well,
so what I need to say about that is Mao requested off-the-wall insane lore theories, not ones that mostly make sense.
it's a really compelling theory. If I would offer a tweak to it though, because what's still missing is the mechanism of how they actually made him, right?
Sure.
Because as far as we know, that cloning equipment, that if whatever equipment Vitruvia used to make Olmir is long gone. We have nobody knows where it is.
There are a couple of... Oh, go on.
And so the missing piece might be that we might tie it back to the living stories again. Because Lagarde is obsessed with copying the path of Olmir. He wants to embody the story of Olmir. If he was a living story, then he would just do that naturally. And where do we find the living stories? We find them in dreams, and we literally fight one in Nilvan's mind, in a dreamscape. And we know that Lagarde spent a lot of time in the dreams, it wouldn't be a stretch to suggest that she literally made him as a living story and then sent him out into the world. I think that would.
We also
that would...
have, in the first game, we have several different methods for creating people. So when Nasra is in the laboratory, he's like, oh, I forgot how crappy the technology here is, implying that he has seen better technology or expects that technology could be better.
Well, that's interesting.
If that was the only cloning lab he had ever seen or heard of, I expect he would know its capabilities. We also see that Nostramus has figured out how to create life in his laboratory. He does it where he creates the fetus with creation of life 1. And also demon seed, although that's clearly a different kind of thing than Lagarde is. But I don't know if people know those fetuses from the first game that you can make. You like make them in the crafting menu.
We can probably assume that.
But and then so I think the pods are not the only way, but also in Almer's Skin Bible, there's a different story that says that he was made through some kind of union between a false god and a mortal woman, which people have used that to point to like the girl. That's how she was made, right? But what if that's describing the method that Vitruvia used? Like there's some kind of, this is done through some kind of sex act between two beings in a specific way, maybe with some kind of a specific ritual, who knows? Because the human body is a pretty good cloning pod already.
it does all the work for you.
Yeah, fair.
So those are my thoughts. I think there's more to it I'm not getting. I mean, Vitruvia is just such a big missing piece of.
Yeah. I like every time I think I figured something out about Vitruvia, I just have to step back and realize like, no, we don't actually know any of this shit yet.
Yeah.
It's
I have an off-topic question.
Okay.
Very off-topic that just doesn't add to this. Is it okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Has any of you ever stolen an item from an enemy and then gotten a coin toss for it?
No.
No.
Coin toss to steal?
Yes.
No, I haven't seen that.
I don't think I've ever.
Probably
used
gonna
the
be
pickpocket
doing.
ability.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. Well, I remember, I don't know if it was a dream or anything like that, but I remember getting a coin toss for stealing against an enemy in Fear 2. And I'm going to be doing a steal only run at some point in the future. And I want to see who it is because there has to be an enemy that has a coin toss. And I failed it at the time, I remember.
If I had to guess, I'd say
failed the coin
Pocket
toss.
Cat, because his whole fight is coin tosses. No, it's not. It's dialogue choices.
Yeah, no, you can steal from him for free. He gives you catnip.
He gives you the candy. Yeah, catnip.
Oh, that's right.
I
Maybe
wonder
Poe.
who it is because it's so weird.
Poe, maybe.
I don't have anyone mentioning that there's a coin toss when stealing from someone in my Discord.
I haven't used it that much because I find steal a bit annoying, but yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
I'll be doing a
probably
challenge
use
for that.
skill a lot more, by which I mean at all, if like Kahara came with it.
If only it was automatic, like Persuade with diplomacy.
Yeah, you get to steal at the start. That'd be interesting.
We'll see about that. I just had that question. I'll come up with lore probably with that because there's a coin toss for someone. I don't know who it is.
Are you sure you didn't just steal before the coin toss turn?
No, it was an enemy without a coin toss. I remember. I was like, what the fuck? I'm getting a coin toss for this enemy. What?
An enemy without
I
a
don't
coin
know who it
toss.
was. Yeah, the coin toss failed. And I was like, oh, you were caught in the act while stealing. It says the text. I was like, what?
What the hell?
Yes.
There are actually a lot of enemies in
Need to
Terminator
find
that
it,
don't
yeah.
have coin tosses, which I would like.
Exactly, and it
Mirror,
was
if
an
you're
enemy
listening,
that didn't have coin toss. It was an enemy that didn't have coin toss. Now I think about it.
Mirror, if you're listening,
Didn't
add
have name, sorry.
coin tosses to every single enemy, every single one.
Just fuck me, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that they didn't have an item at all. I stole from another enemy with like the same type, and they didn't have an item, but the other one had a coin toss for some reason. It's so weird. I
I
don't
wonder if
get
that
it.
might be like a buggy system that's just still like half in.
Maybe. Yeah,
Like
maybe.
nerf steel by giving it a coin toss every time you try and use it.
I really want to do it, but man, I feel like I need someone to test with. I cannot test alone.
That's what stream chats are for.
Also, man, look how big Almer's legs are compared to his arms.
Oh, he's doing those squats.
Bro doesn't skip leg day.
No, not
So do we have any more crazy theories?
I think we've.
I think one theory that exists and it's actually real is that Tanaka is probably either possessed or something along those lines.
Tanaka
No,
possessed?
no,
Yes.
Tanaka is
Because,
Sylvian in disguise.
No, shut the fuck up, you. Shut the fuck up. Your time. He has a hat with 1% otherworldly resistance. Why?
All the clothes have otherworldly resistance.
But why does Tanaka have one when he's nothing? He's no one. He's just a worker, right?
But like, everybody's clothes have otherworldly resistance.
Do they?
That's like what.
But
Yeah,
why
like,
is it only 1%?
Is that
it's
different
just
from
a
the rest?
hat.
Because it's a cheap hat.
Yeah, like what is the sweater?
Like I haven't seen
versus-
any other character or item that gives you like 1% of anything. Just Tanaka, just with that 1% otherworldly resist.
Hmm.
And then at the end of like day 3 morning, I think it is, you see him like standing still, looking at this at the place where you get the effigy, just completely changed. It's so weird, to be honest. Such a
Hmm.
weird character.
Wait,
I feel like
you
he's
see
either, like,
Tanaka on
imposter or
day
something like that.
3 morning? He
Yeah, day
lives
3
that
morning.
long for you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did a video where I had to, without RPG Maker by the way, I had to look him up, and it was the worst thing ever. Day 3 morning, he lives if you have, if you sacrifice Marco. To
Yeah,
keep Tanaka alive.
he has a lot of different paths. Maybe I think Marina might have the most, but Tanaka's there's a lot of different paths you can go with him. A lot of different triggers, and you can get him to like the
Yes.
base of the tower naturally, where he fights. If August is alive, he'll fight August, and get utterly fucking bodied.
He's got that speech in the prison where he talks about how he's going to become the hero.
I left him there, and I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't go fight Marco, and he doesn't. I don't know why he has that speech, because he doesn't actually go fight Marco. But yeah, he can Moonscorch
think-
there as well. Or not Moonscorch.
Yeah, I think something's buggy because he just turns hostile in there.
I think I've seen different dialogue elsewhere where I think if you don't talk to him there, he has a chance of doing that, where he turns hostile there, because he's going crazy from the mold. I don't know what the exact triggers are though.
I wish more characters would treat the game like they're in a battle royale.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, yes!
Yeah.
Like
yes,
that's
for God's sake!
so that's something that bothers me about Termina. There's not a lot that I'm critical of in these games. Like, oh yeah, there's a couple of bugs. Oh yeah, Muro could use a proofreader. Beyond that,
No, wait.
Oh yeah, Ragged
No,
Boulder's
sorry.
skill
Yes.
set.
go ahead, please.
The broken English in the first game and a little bit in the second game is one of the charm points, and I would not change it for the world. I wouldn't change it. I love it. I legitimately
That's
think
a
it adds to
pretty
the
unique-
otherworldly atmosphere of the games, and I really like it. Anyway,
think
I just wanted to
it's
say that.
critical. I worked as a proofreader in my last real job. is why.
You must be suffering playing these games then.
Kind of. I mean, there's an attitude on the internet now that it's kind of passé to be hypercritical of like grammar and stuff. So I'm down.
Why
with
would you listen to the internet's opinions? Unless they're mine, they're wrong.
Anyway, sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
Yes. So I wish. So the only time in the game that a character who is not an antagonist the whole time, like Caligura, is terrible the whole game. So it's not surprising when you see him, beating somebody's head in. The only time somebody really surprises you with this is Henrik when he poisons everybody in the bop. And people are like, "Oh, I can't figure out why he would do that." It's like, well, he's in a death game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Like, why
Yeah,
wouldn't he do
exactly.
that?
I had
He's
that
like,
chat
wow, I
with
can
someone
sleep and just
actually.
leave. And not only
Yeah,
that, but like dying of poison in the bop is like the least bad way to go possible in the entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you seen what the
the
clown
setup
does?
for the story.
So yeah.
The setup for the
Yeah.
story, where the battle royale is only demonstrated through like a dream, rather than like do the anime thing and a stuffed doll comes in and kills your teacher and says, "I'll kill you next if you don't start killing each other." That's a lot more persuasive and gives a lot better grounding for characters to start killing each other because they know that it's real. When
Yeah.
it's only just a weird collective dream, it's really easy for them to dismiss and have it make a lot of sense and not actually have a battle royale in the battle royale game.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it
Karen
makes me
feels like the
wonder
only
if,
one
like,
that treats
that's-
it like... Sorry.
I was gonna say, it makes me wonder if like that's what Needles is doing. Like, is Needles supposed to be prompting people to get off their butts? Because the people he goes after first are pretty passive.
That's true. And you do see him really early, don't you? Well, potentially really early.
Mm.
But he's just a random thing killing. He's not operating under the threat of, if you don't start killing each other, I'll start killing you. And even if he was, you can just have like 4 guys band together and overpower him,
Hmm.
which again just undermines the premise. Ugh.
It does. I reckon, like, I was about to say that Karen is sort of the only one that sort of is really wary of other people for a while, but even then, she sort of gets over that.
Mm.
It would be good to have more of the characters at the start going like, okay, don't come anywhere near me because you're going to try and kill me. Or I'm going to kill you
Osa
first, that
does
sort of
that.
stuff. And there's just no discussion
Osa
like
does
that.
that once.
Oh, it does?
And it'd be cool if like, yeah, well, he does that once if you if he's like in the town. He'll be like sitting down and you can try to go near him and he's like, hey, don't come any closer or I'll zap you. And you
Right.
can be like,
Osa
well, I'm
does
not...
that, yes.
Yeah, he's like,
So
I'm
the thing about
friendly.
it is like
yeah.
he does it way too early into the story. I feel like, I think the characters evolved into, threats because of the time limit getting like closer and closer to the end. I think also being able to just fight you right away and also having a fight with August as soon as the game starts is kind of weird, to be honest, for
I
me.
absolutely think that August just shot him because he saw a yellow guy in the dark.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's Kaiser.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's fun. You're the only other person
know.
that has agreed with me on that theory, Worm Girl. Nobody else
it
wants
is
to agree with me on that. It's like, it's obvious.
And he even used like his green arrow.
Yeah.
Those are for Kaiser.
I mean, maybe, but Is there any other interaction with Osa and August?
No,
Ah,
it's
I
part
don't
of
think so, no.
No, right? Like as friends? No, none. It's kind of weird though.
Yeah, I think if you had like Perkele like showing up in your dreams and torturing you if you didn't kill someone or something like that.
But the thing about it is
Yeah,
that it
that
happens in day 1 afternoon. Like it's way too fast. I think he gives up way too fast at the thought of having allies.
Well,
Yeah, I
Percolate
think
doesn't want to. Is the thing. Percolate can't tell you to do it because that goes against the game. Because the whole point
Yeah,
is to
he
find
says-
someone who's bloodthirsty, so that's why Percolate is passive.
Right.
But
And that's
the
why
other
when
contestants
you-
should 100% be more violent and more, or at least like more wary. They're just besties, and it's like that doesn't make any.
They
Some characters that
think
works with, like Marco,
perfect sense
he's
for them
fine.
to be besties because there's no sort of Damocles hanging over their head saying, "Hey, you have to kill each other."
Well, actually, if you talk to Marco on the train, he says that on day 3, he says that like he's like clearly like losing it, and he keeps saying like I feel like my sins are gonna catch up to me, and it's making me go crazy. And you hear something similar from Tanaka in the prison. And what I wish would happen is that the characters would start out kind of standoffish, and if you talked to them or like did certain events, they would become friendly enough that they wouldn't turn on you. But if you didn't do that, it might trigger events where they attack you because
Mm.
they have enough pressure from the moon telling them to kill, and they've kind of figured out what's going to happen to them if they don't, because moon scorching is supposed to be your punishment for not playing. The people in Old Town even say that when you walk up, they're like, you can't just run away. We're the ones that tried to quit.
Yeah, it seems like moon scorching is meant to be. It's meant to be double duty. It's your punishment if you don't do it fast enough, but it's also like the moment you snap and decide to kill other people, then you moon scorch as well. And I think that's where it sort of feels a bit off because they're not really in their right mind, so it doesn't feel like proper sort of narrative
Yeah, I think the
reward
moon
for the
scorching
characters.
should come. I think the moon scorching should come before the psychotic snap, right? Like if if Marco turns into a monster and throws Tanaka out a window, that makes sense. But if Marco throws Tanaka out a window and then turns into a monster, it's like, well, he was playing. Like, why did you do that? He was doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of Mirror's in a bit of a hard situation there, because you can't get because if the way it is now, the snap and the transformation are the same timing. It's the same thing, and it doesn't feel like a good delivery. Like it just doesn't feel like it's satisfying delivery. But then you're right, if you snapped and then Moonscorch later, then it doesn't feel fair. Because he's doing what you was asked to. So it's tough.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, like, why does Caligura scorch so early? Because he's like doing what he's supposed to be doing more than anybody else.
And he loves it. Yeah, he's in his prime. He's basically a Silvercop member before transformation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the issue with that is that the actual premise is therefore you get punished for killing people, which is all the more reason to have everyone not act like it's a battle royale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Hiro
it's
needed
tough.
to read more shitty manga.
Too good of a writer.
A little bit, yeah.
He focused too much on coming up with cool Silent Hill designs and not enough on reading weeb trash.
Yeah, read more trash, Miro. More slop. Let's go. The designs are really good, though. I love all the designs. I love the Moonscorch designs. Which one's your favorite, Moonscorch?
Okay.
My favorite has to be Levi.
Levi?
I will always say that. Levi. I love it so much. There's a lot of people who just straight up hate Levi because of the sound that he makes when he's moon scorched.
Oh, it's
But I
terrifying,
think it
isn't
just
it?
adds up to that feeling. Yeah, the
Yeah.
feeling
So
of what is that? Like, I don't think anyone has not gotten scared for that sound. And
sound
getting
makes
shot by
it.
Levi, it just
There's that
ooh.
scene where Karen and Marina don't even recognize him when he's sitting at the
Yeah.
desk. That's really sad.
Yeah, it's...
My
It's
favorite is Marina's. I think it's a really good and also kind of tasteful delivery on what her like internalized fears and you know the external pressures acting on her kind of all represent.
Yeah, cool fight, too. How...
Yeah.
It's like... I think... Is it the only fight with, like, that much randomization in it? Because she can choose the different sigils?
I think so.
Because usually fights aren't that different. They usually have, like,
In a lot
3
of
or 4
ways-
abilities to pick from.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, Marina feels like the main character of the game just because she has so much stuff like that.
Mm.
You know, like
And,
if you're
you know,
playing
is
as her when you do
On the center
Domex
of the
scene.
title screen.
Yeah. She was also, I think, the first. She and Levi were the first characters coded,
Mm.
which is why there are some bugs, like why she can use the mauler.
She can use the mauler?
Yeah.
Whoops.
It,
Yeah,
it
it turns
has,
into a knife. It turns into a knife. animation.
yeah, just the animation though. The weapon works.
Yeah, it's still yeah, exactly.
I think my favorite Moonscorch design has to be Karen's. I think it's just the prettiest. The
Oh,
Valkyrie.
yeah, it's really good. Have you seen the
I wish
painting that it's
Karen
gone
would
from?
have. Sorry.
Have you seen the painting that it's taken from?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Awesome painting. What's it called again?
Yeah.
It's
Lohi. It's
Lohi.
the it's one of the basically the main Finnish evil kind of deities in their pantheon.
Okay.
They have this like their main guy is like this folk hero, this Gandalf looking dude who's fighting her in the painting. I'm forgetting his name. But Lohi is like, I don't want to say like a Satan figure, but like a feels more like a Tiamat or something, like a god that's an explanation for the bad things in the world, but not like a temptress of men or anything.
Okay. Do you think that the lore behind Lohi relates to Karen at all, or is it just a visual nod?
I think it's a bunch of things. So I think Karen, I mean, obviously there's the there's the fact that they call her a vulture, and there's all that. I think there also maybe some wordplay there about her being a harpy, which is a thing you would call a opinionated and loudmouthed woman. It's like a derogatory term. And it's also a bird lady. But Lohi specifically is like the source of a lot of the evil in the world, which I don't think tracks to Karen very much.
No, she was never positioned like that.
I mean, she is a journalist, though.
No. Not a modern journalist, though.
I think Karen is one of the more heroic characters in the world, at least in how she's positioned, if not necessarily in how she behaves.
Yeah. Yeah, she does.
I need more of Karen in the next update, to be honest. I feel
Yeah.
like she's just empty.
Also, Salmon Snake in the first game. Salmon Snake in Finnish is how you say dragon, which a lot of people know. It's Lohikarm. I'm butchering the pronunciation. But
Just give it
That-
the most American Texan pronunciation you can and try to deliberately offend Finnish people so they laugh.
Lohikarn.
Lohikarm!
that word is like a corruption though. Originally it was Lohikarm, which is Lohi's snake.
Oh,
So
that's
that was how
interesting.
you said dragon in Finnish, and the word got like corrupted over time. And that's why I think the salmon snake is like what a dragon is in 1590, because like the age of mythology is over, and now we just have like stupid river monsters.
One of those small theories that I really like is that salmon snake is actually a lizard, is actually a blight. It's a lizardman new god.
Oh no!
I like that theory.
I like it.
Not that there's like any proof other than the name, right? But I reckon that'd be cool.
I mean, he's also like a giant lizard thing.
That's true. Yeah, he is literally like a giant lizard thing. So yeah.
His skin's not all cooked off though.
No.
Yeah, but he's not wandering around in the void like the other ones, which cooks
Yes.
your skin.
I
Yeah,
guess so. Yeah,
and the lizards do hang out near him. So
that's true.
And he's pretty much exactly as much of a pushover as most of the new gods.
My Moonless always bites his eye out right away, and then he's just kind of done.
Yeah, Moonless is actually... I may as well talk about this here since I'm going to make a video about it eventually. Moonless actually has a really interesting AI script.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to make a whole thing about auto battlers, but basically Moonless will always target the limb with the lowest hit points.
I didn't know that. I thought she just kind of went random.
People think that because if you target the same limb she's going for before she hits it, then she will have to attack at a random because it'll reroll where she attacked.
Okay.
But she always goes for the lowest HP limb, which means she'll never hit the torsos due to the way torsos are coded.
that's interesting.
Other undead and auto battlers don't work that way. They have a 50% chance of going for lowest HP limb and 50% chance of attacking randomly. Until you start teaching them attack skills, at which point the whole thing becomes more complicated. It's why I have to make a whole video about it.
I wonder if that's meant to make her seem intelligent compared to them.
Well, Moonless is best girl, so
Maybe.
Why is Kalev so bad?
why is what so bad? Sorry.
Why is Black Kalev so bad compared to Moonless?
Oh, yeah.
You like
I have no
the-
idea.
Mechanic
Because-
wise, or the lore explanation of it?
Goats
Mechanics,
don't
please.
have sharp teeth.
Mechanics. Okay, so mechanics. She's not, or he is not made like Moonless. They're, the goat is not focused on attacking the lowest HP limb. It feels like,
This goes
to the
random.
point that it's not gonna go for headshots all the time. It may go for the head, but it doesn't have that high chance of hitting something that will not hit, right? Because when you see Moonless just goes for the head, and usually most of the time he gets the headshot. With Black Caleb, I think either Miro forgot to like put that in, or he just ignored it completely.
Moonless doesn't actually have an accuracy buff.
Really?
But how does Moonless always get the headshot more than any
Confirmation
other
bias?
character? I don't know
Yeah,
if
because
it's.
she's going
Oh.
for heads every round, whereas the player is not usually doing that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I know,
Yeah.
but Caleb does also try that, and zombies also do try that, but they don't really have the
They also
accuracy
make
of
attacks
Moonless.
for the head much less frequently since they don't have extra attack and also don't have the same AI coding to attack the head if it's one of the valid targets.
Hmm.
You know what it also could be? Maybe it could be extra turn bullshit as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't know.
Moonus gets the extra turn, which Caleb
Yeah.
doesn't.
And Black Caleb doesn't.
Yeah, and
maybe
Moonus
that's what
does
it is as
bleed
well.
for free, whereas Caleb, I
And
don't
there's
think
a lot
does.
of glitches when it comes to extra turn in Fear and Hunger Wild. For example, if you finish an extra turn with Moonless or with anyone with an extra turn, and you use what is it, Hidden Whispers, it's bugged and you cannot use it until you save the game
Really?
outside of battle. Yes, it's just bullshit. It's
Yeah,
just
there's
bullshit.
a bunch of really interesting glitches with extra turn. I haven't figured out how to do it consistently,
Yeah.
but on certain fights, there's a way to finish an extra turn that allows you to skip the remove Blood Golem from the party script.
So you just keep Black Golem in your party.
Yeah, you can teach him fun skills, and the next time you summon him, he'll have them.
That's pretty good.
That's
So if
nuts.
you have like a spare thing of Black Orb, you can toss it on Blood Golem, and Blood Golem always spawns with max mind.
Wait, so he's like in the menus?
Yeah.
Does he have a portrait? No, he can't.
It's blank.
Okay,
The portrait is an empty file.
Yeah.
that's pretty funny.
But yeah, you can just teach him Blood Golem, and then you can just run around. You can spend 5 hit points with Greater Blood Golem to summon something that's just going to cast Black Orb for the next 5 turns.
Can you equip stuff on him, or will that like get deleted?
If you had anything that he could equip, it would stick with him when you resummoned him, but his equipment list is nothing.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
My
Speaking of
favorite-
things that you can equip to others, did you know that you could summon Blood Sword or Longinus in Fear and Hunger 2, remove it, and give it to someone else in your team?
Really?
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's
Mhm.
funny
You
as.
can have 4 Blood Swords or Longinus.
Do they
Wait.
all disappear at the end of the fight?
Yeah.
Is that ever useful? I guess Longinus is alright.
Longinus and Blood Sword are pretty good if you wanna one-shot enemies in the torso. Longinus and Blood Sword one-shot any enemy.
But if you want to
In
one-shot
any
an
difficulty
enemy,
for
are
the
you going to
torso.
spend 4 turns?
The thing about it is
summoning-
that you need Spice Forge White. That's the thing about it.
Okay.
That's how you make it worth it.
Huh.
Or an easy turn, either of which.
Yeah, I had first Blood Sword on my first playthrough, and it wasn't the most broken thing, but it certainly got the job done.
Yeah.
Does Bloodsword scale on magic damage or physical damage?
It scales with physical damage. I
Okay.
tried that run with, trying to go with magic damage. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna mix magic damage with critical chance. It's gonna be amazing. Nope. work. Because I was like, man, fucking Chucks and Death Mask are amazing for magic attack, right? You can get like 700 magic attack. Please work. No, it didn't work. Not even the Heartless One weapon either.
Oh wow.
Red
Okay.
Virtue doesn't scale with magic either. It's like, okay, sure.
Well, that would be so broken if it did though.
It would be beautiful.
My favorite Moonless fact was dropped by Miro not that long ago in the Discord, and someone asked why is Moonless so big in Termina, and he said that that's just how big those get. And
Wow.
I always thought it was
Damn.
because she had miasma stuck in her, and it was like giving her powers or something, or she was eating monsters and absorbing their power and becoming huge and living hundreds. No, that's just how cave wolves are.
Wow, that's cool.
I guess that shoots down my new god theory.
New God Moonless, how great would that be?
Right? Moonless sits on the throne at one point, doesn't know what's going on, but comes back giant and is like cool with it.
Moonless,
What's
sit.
that? The peeing one?
Oh no.
She pisses on the throne and gets this.
You approach the new god altar, and instead of blood, it's just pee that fills up the altar.
Just
New
summon
god
new
rises
god
out of
Moonless, you
pee.
just piss into the ritual circle.
Actually, that reminds me. I have a theory that I cooked up last night. Actually,
Uh-huh.
because I was rewatching one of your videos, Wormgirl, and you offhandedly mentioned something.
Yeah, what do you got?
So, for a long time, people have been wondering why Moonless has miasma and black steel stuck in her. No, everyone's like, oh, it's just haha funny reference, right? And it is pretty funny. But, okay, hear me out. Here's what happened. So, Ragnvalder obviously recruits Moonless when he's in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And we know he probably kills Salmon Snake because we got the Salmon Snake rune in Termina.
Mm-hmm.
So that means he, at the very least, started his campaign to kill the monsters in the dungeon. Whether he finished his campaign is a different story, but he at least started it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a good chance he killed the original Crow Mauler, took the Crow Emblem key, and got miasma. Somebody did, because Moonless obviously has miasma stuck in her.
Or they like swept the door.
Yeah, or they break down the door. So what I think happened was that Ragnvalder took miasma, went crazy with it, and attacked Moonless. Stuck it in Moonless, and then he was like, oh, I'm not crazy anymore because I don't have the sword anymore. And it's just stuck in Moonless. And they're like, well, we can't take it out.
Mm-hmm.
But then miasma is messing with Moonless's head. So what they did was they get the one sword in the game that has a purifying effect, black steel, and they stick it in her.
I didn't think about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that makes
sense.
that
They're
makes a
canceling
lot
each other
more
out, yeah.
sense than the theory that I was going with.
Because I just sort of came up with that when watching your video, Wormgirl, because you mentioned it in black steel. Because there's where you find black steel, it's the one patch of the thicket where there's regular ground where the thicket can't grow over it, because that's where black steel is stuck.
Right.
So that's my theory
have-
as to why those two swords specifically are stuck in her.
So here's a question though. Why is black steel there when the Phantom's body is all the way over on the east side of the caves?
That's a good question.
Because he's you get his stuff by you get Blue Sin and then you go east from the area when you get back, and his like body's there with his
Yeah.
with his gear.
I mean, it's
guess he
basically just
could've-
one floor down.
I guess he could have like stuck it there and kept walking or something.
Or he tripped. He tripped and the sword like fell point first into the ground, and then he like starved to death because both of his legs broke. That's my theory.
Maybe he knew
That was
he
also
was
my
going to
theory
die.
for the swords and Moonless, by the way. My theory was that like Ragnvalder just had miasma and black steel sitting around the house, and Moonless tripped into him.
A lot of people tripping in your theories.
Yeah.
It explains a lot of things. Like, no, Your Honor, I didn't murder that guy by pushing him out of a plane. He just tripped.
Yeah. Well, did anybody else have any last minute theories before we wrap up?
I'm still waiting for Raccoon to do something crazy like he promised.
Yeah. Give us something, Raccoon.
Would you like me to give like a dumb thing that I could say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That would be
we'll
really
argue it.
dumb?
We'll argue it.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe you will.
Give me your dumbest thing.
Yeah, we'll argue for it and we'll justify it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you this one, okay? This one is gonna like destroy me and destroy you as well. Any theory that you can come up with is real.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, it is actually.
I was actually going to use whatever you said as a way to
Eesh.
explain that you can justify basically anything in a story
Yeah.
that doesn't have a lot of concrete answers.
Yes, exactly. This is the fear and hunger world where many characters are born with a soul that just completely defines their lives. And some characters don't even have a soul. I gotta say that this is not like real world where anything makes sense, right? There are characters who fight others
Mhm.
for no reason, and these characters have big stingers showing up. There's floating heads, there's gods that you can get magic from. When you have sex, you can fuse with another person. There's so many things that just defy reality. So anything that you can come up with theory-wise can be real for you as long as you have enough to stand your ground with. And I was
You
going
gotta
to say
believe
that.
in yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
that's also true in real life, though we typically call that schizophrenia.
If you think about it, yeah. The thing about it is that Miro is making this game, and he's coming up with the ideas that we are giving him more unlikely as well, which we are helping him making what it is going to be the future, right?
Oh no,
Of
that's
Fear and
terrible.
Hunger. That's why we're gonna have.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean-
so horrible. I can't just. Oh man, the
Joe's
most terrifying thing that you could ever
theory.
put in there would be that cute vampire girl. Oh, it'd
Yeah,
be horrible.
no
I'd be
cute
so
vampire
scared.
girls, 100%.
I swear, if I see a single one, I'm gonna come after you, Joe. But yes, that's mostly what I'm going to say, lore-wise. I have a hard time saying that since my theories are usually suck, but I like that they're real for me and to me only.
Well, we can actually justify that in universe too, because of the sliding scale between reality and idea. And once, and there's reason to believe that if people believe in something hard enough, it starts happening.
Especially once logic
that exactly
comes online.
Exactly, yeah.
That is also why there's also a theory. One of the games that I played at one point. I don't know if you know Persona 2
Hmm.
for the PS1 and
I've
PSP.
never played
Sorry.
it, no.
That's the one where
That
Hitler
the
wears
story-
sunglasses.
Yeah, the story is about characters making up theories, and these theories, whenever a lot of people believe on it, they become a reality. So that's pretty much the whole story, trying to make theories a reality, so that they can uncover a mystery.
Okay.
It's quite amazing.
Oh wait, was
And
that
that's
the
also what I'm
one that
basing-
had like that famous World War II politician with his sunglasses?
Yes,
I
yeah,
have pasted-
exactly.
I have
That
pasted
was
something
our
into
theory.
the. I have pasted an image into the chat for everybody.
Oh, I want to play that
Oh,
game.
which chat?
just-
Sorry.
It's a
just
straight up
think it was
screenshot
chat.
from the game.
Which chat? Sorry.
Oh,
The podcast voice chat.
Oh, the open chat. I actually
Yeah.
The
haven't seen
the
this.
secret thing that nobody ever looks at.
I
to the
actually forgot
point
that existed.
Yeah,
I once
I hate
secretly
this shit.
filled. I once secretly filled a Discord that had one of these with like mpreg pictures for like 18 months before anyone noticed.
Oh, I do have another theory.
Yeah?
Is
Bettel,
the Reckenwalder lactating theory?
this is Bettel Almer Empreg.
Yeah.
So Bettel is
Oh, that one. I know where this is coming from.
he's somebody who became a new god at or right after Almer ascended, and he's depicted with a big hollow in his swollen stomach.
Oh, he is, isn't he? Yeah.
And so me and a chatter on the Fear and Hunger Discord were kind of joking that maybe he artificially birthed Almer in there somehow.
That's terrifying.
And so that's the Almer Empreg theory.
Now the problem with that theory is that it's going to get all the Tumblr fangirls over here, and therefore can't possibly be true on moral grounds.
We should each say what our favorite ship is.
Oh, no.
We could,
No,
but then I'd be legally
Morgan, what are you
obligated to
talking
honor
about?
kill you.
Yeah.
Poor girl. No, I need my photo back. Come back.
Oh, okay.
Well, looking forward to seeing y'all next week after we honor kill Worm Girl and
Yeah.
replace her with
Yeah, sorry,
Rapolo
Worm
again.
Girl.
Yeah.
We have to kill you now. Thanks for coming in. It was good. So where can we find you, Worm Girl? Where can we find your stuff?
I'm on YouTube, Worm Girl. That is at Mutant Worm Girl on YouTube, or just search Worm Girl. I'm there. Patreon.com/worm_girl. That's about it. I try to keep everything in one place.
Okay, these links will be in the description of the video as well, so please go check out Worm Girl stuff. It's great. Oh, also, I keep forgetting to mention this, but the podcast is also now on Spotify. So it's
Ooh.
the SEO of the name, The New Gods, is actually kind of bad, so we might be changing the name soon. It just won't come up on Spotify search. But I'll put a link to that in the description as well, so maybe you can go see it.
The newer gods might work better though.
Yeah, we'll try something out. We'll fix it up. But yeah, so thank you all very much for coming in. Any last messages?
Any last words before the honor killing?
Thank you all so much for having me. It was a lot of fun. Get to chatter all my stupid ideas to an audience that. Well, I guess that's what I do normally anyway. But it was fun.
We'll have to get you back sometime when Frapollo isn't dead. We'll resurrect him as a Sulfur Cult member, and we can have another chat.
And then he can kill me again because he's a killer clown now.
Killer clown.
Oh, someone Photoshop a rainbow afro on his knight helmet.
Oh my god.
All right, thank you very much.